What's up, guys? Welcome back to Desktop. I'm Joe, and this is a little different format than we're usually doing just because we're trying some different things out. Today's video is on one of the more exciting products that I saw in SHOT Show 2025. That's the Tactical MX-1. This is an all-in-one, a true all-in-one chassis for any Glocks of any kind. It's like 70 plus Glocks fit in here, and we're going to be doing a deep dive into it. Before we get too deep into this, don't forget that if you aren't sharing, commenting, and hitting that subscribe button, YouTube is not showing you our content. So in order to keep making content and keep showing you guys more stuff, I need to keep the lights on. Huge shout out to Arrowhead Tactical Apparel, Gideon Optics, and HSL Ammo. HSL Ammo provides all the ammunition that you see us shoot in all of our videos, and we've had very, very good luck with their ammunition, in addition to it being extremely reasonably priced. Gideon Optics makes almost every optic you see us use on the channel for every video, and you see them survive all the abuse that we put through them because they are good optics for, again, a reasonable price. You know that we're all about spending your money where you need to, and Gideon Optics is a great way to do exactly that, getting good quality dots or good quality optics for a low cost. And of course, Arrowhead Tactical Apparel. If you need comfortable carry clothing for at the gym, working out, or enjoying this kind of nice weather that we're finally having, don't forget to stop in and check them out as well. Whether you're shopping with them because you really, really like us, or you're shopping with them because you want to get the good deals, don't forget that if you use my code, please, I'm begging you, please. My code is please. At any checkout, including HSL Ammo, you get a discount, and it tells them to keep supporting my channel, which I appreciate more than anything. Now let's talk about the Tactical MX-1. Just a really brief overview of the chassis. As you can tell, it is a true and factual drop-in conversion for your Glock. I'm not going to show a close-up of me putting the Glock in because YouTube will freak out and think that I'm showing you how to assemble a firearm, but in that brief amount of time, I can do this, and then it takes me about this long to put the Glock into the chassis, and it is all set and ready to go. One of the cool parts about the MX-1 chassis to me was that we actually got to see this at SHOT Show, and it was a squirted variant of it and not a complete version, and they actually incorporated some of our feedback that I'm assuming other people gave them too, because why would you just listen to us? But it's in the final design, which means in that feedback they have a metal flash guard up at the front here because there's a fireball that comes out of the front when you shoot this, as well as a metal Picatinny top rail, which is fantastic, and an option for an aluminum stock or brace, which is what I think is the most needed thing for any of the Glock conversion kits that you've seen. Now, I'm filming this after shooting a whole bunch of rounds through it, and I do have to say this is by far my favorite Glock chassis that I've come across, and possibly my favorite kind of PCC conversion kit ever. I don't know why this hasn't come out sooner, and I think it is truly the one to buy if you're looking. If you remember Tactical, they make that weird bullpup conversion for Glocks as well that turns them into a rifle, but a bullpup rifle, and this is their latest venture. The MX-1 is made in the United States, so it will not be affected price-wise by the tariffs, and it doesn't come in at a super expensive price point. That being said, you get all of the cool features, including a QD mount on the back for a sling, the metal top rail, which I touched on, and perhaps the coolest part to me, a charging handle in the rear. That works with literally every Glock.
Just a quick question, random offshoot. Why do I always see the guys, like the Navy SEALs, hold their guns like this before they start shooting just to fully grip it? Anybody else know that? Can you guys comment on that at all? If we have any Navy SEALs in our comments, that'd be kind of cool to know. Anyways.
In the box, you get the chassis, obviously, and a bunch of little accessories to make it work with any Glock that you might have. Yes, that means if you have a 10mm Glock, this will work for a 10mm Glock immediately and straight out of the box. And if you have a Glock 42, they even have an adapter for that as well. The chassis itself, as you can see, is still incredibly slim and very portable, with the stock or brace quickly able to fold and making it very portable and able to be put in a backpack. I put it next to the P320 chassis, which is the next most portable PCC type variant that I have, and I think it's the most similar thing. Obviously it's for a P320 and this is for a Glock, but size-wise they are roughly the same. I prefer to run it like this without the mag holster in the front, just because I'm all about streamlining the process, and I think the concept is mostly really cool as a backpack gun. Using the chassis literally could not be easier. YouTube, if you're watching, this is not assembly of any kind. You simply put your Glock inside of it, close it up, and you're ready to go. It could not be easier to do. It could not be faster to do. It is so simple, and that is with any Glock. Taking your firearm out is just as easy. You simply push this little push pin in the rear, slide this backwards, press the button on the front, and your firearm is now freed from the device. It could not be easier to put your firearm away or simply redeploy it if you need to. So for our test, for our purposes, I took a Glock 17 Gen 5 that was brand new and never fired and threw it into the chassis. We didn't have any malfunctions for the first few hundred rounds, and when we started to have very occasional stovepiping, I removed the firearm from the chassis and realized that it was completely covered in carbon because of the fireball that was coming out of the front, which obviously meant a fireball was blasting backwards onto the firearm itself. A quick wipe down and some lubricant, and it was good to go.
Okay, now we're gonna move to the SIG here.
Whoops.
Oopsie.
There we go.
That's better. Okay, so immediately I can tell the MX-1 shoots a lot more flat and is a lot more controllable. This is snappy in comparison. The snappiness of this is like kind of just makes this kind of pointless in my opinion. I like that, it looks cool, but the MX-1 just feels a lot more controllable. Looks like we got another stovepipe. Yeah, no, this is way flatter shooting than the SIG chassis.
When we started this video, this was a brand new Glock.
Brand new. Basically brand as new. Brand new.
Brand new. Good as new. We're good. Felt like that was worth noting because it's not like we were having malfunctions because of the kit or because of the ammunition. It was simply because I put a bone dry Glock in and started covering it in carbon. Now the kit itself felt extremely solid while shooting, and I think that is largely due to the fact that we selected the aluminum stock. It's like an extra $30 to your order, which I think is well worth it, and I don't see a reason to go with the plastic variant at all. The top rail being milled aluminum meant that it held zero the entire time, and the fact that the gun sits ever so slightly below the stock meant that its recoil impulse was extremely light. Now while we shot this with 9mm, I can only imagine with 10mm it would be completely fantastic, as again, that slide is just sitting ever so slightly below the stock, meaning that the recoil impulse is going as straight back into your shoulder as possible and resulting in what essentially feels like no recoil from 9mm, and I'm assuming would feel like slightly more than no recoil from a 10mm. For the past 10 years or so, if you've wanted a PCC conversion for your Glock, you were reduced to something specific for your Glock model that you couldn't use any other Glock models in, or you were reduced to something with a flimsy plastic buttstock / brace on it. And this is truly what I think to be the only option now if you are considering a PCC. I never really liked the micro Roni conversions. I felt like they were bulky, I felt like they were clunky, I did not feel like they were super easy to use, and I felt like once you put your Glock into it, you never wanted to take the thing out of it because it was such a pain to get in and out. This is the sweet medium for me. This really is just streamlined enough. It's not a lot of fluff. You can still access your slide release unless you're left-handed. But if you're left-handed, I would assume that you could take a Dremel to this section here and you'd be able to access the other side of your slide release. On this side, it is cut out for it. So it's a really straight, easy modification to make it work on both sides. Now, there is, in fact, downsides to everything, and one of the downsides I do think is worth mentioning is that you cannot run a suppressor with this. I haven't found a way to do it, but also the way that the charging handle interfaces with your slide, unless you're running a Glock 34 and you have like a long neck on your suppressor and it's really thin, there's like a 99.9% chance this is going to be blocking your suppressor or making your suppressor not able to function. So that is probably the biggest and only downside that I found about the chassis. Other than that, it's completely perfect. And at this point, you kind of pick your battles because all the other ones have this weird side charger. And I do like the way that this quickly integrates onto it. I don't have to fuss with mounting something to the slide, and it racks everything from a 10mm to a 34 to a 17 and even a Glock 42 when you just slap it in there. I might be speaking abruptly, but I would say that the majority of people who are going to be running this are not going to be attempting to run it suppressed anyway, because the whole point is for it to be super compact and be able to fit in a backpack or a sling bag or something similar, which it does, again, because of its very, very small dimensions. Now, since I'm not really reviewing a firearm here, this is more just an accessory, I can't really tell you reliability-wise, like how well it's gonna work. I obviously didn't encounter any issues. I'm not worried about it. It locks up really firm on the stock here, and the metal Picatinny top rail is obviously not going to allow your optic to shift. And like I said, in terms of chassis, the MX-1 seems to be both the most stable if I pull it back into my body and the most versatile at the same time. So this really is the only one that I recommend to people at this point for purchasing. And again, the first thing that's going to come out of my mouth if someone says they want a PCC conversion kit or they want a 10 mil conversion kit for their Glock, this is probably going to be the first one that I send them to. I don't have any complaints or design notes. Like I said, you can't run it suppressed, but I don't really see that as being an issue. If you want one of these to run suppressed, then I guess take it upon yourself to modify the charging handle that is inside of it so that it doesn't interfere with your suppressor but can still rack the slide. And again, if you're left-handed, be ready to take a Dremel to this side to raise it just a little bit so it can clear the slide release here. Although I would expect Meta Tactical, after they see this, to probably make some sort of indent here so that it does work with a Gen 5 and still leave this exposed. This is truly just such a simple, no-brainer conversion kit that is something I could hand to anyone, specifically the people who are buying Glock conversion kits. I think most of the time are people who bought a Glock for home defense and then don't shoot a handgun enough to be comfortable with it. And it is something that, again, is so simple, even someone with no firearms knowledge could figure out how to place their Glock inside of it and start using it effectively. They give you a whole bunch of little accessories with this, like a thumb rest for your hand and the magazine holster thing that also will hold a 10mm magazine, by the way. It's a really unique system that the guy was showing us at SHOT Show, and I thought it was really cool. I just don't prefer it because, again, I hold it like this. It gives me a lot of confidence knowing that they put this metal liner all along the inside going all the way down, and there is a slight gap at the top to keep your barrel cooling. Aside from that, guys, I don't really have anything else to add to this. It is simply a good kit, simply the best Glock conversion kit that I've had my hands on, and I love it. I love it so much that I'm probably just going to leave this Glock in it or put a 10 mil Glock in this and call it a day.